Let's talk about what happened to you, Joey. You got so you got put on the no-fly list because you're a dirty person. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. They saw my YouTube account apparently. But you know, it's funny, man. It's like, so I had a trip out in LA. I had to go out to LA for a wedding and some business. I get on the plane now, mind you, I live in the South. We don't have any mandates down there. I knew I had to get on a plane. I knew I had to wear a mask. So I go to the dollar store on my way to I almost forgot that I had to wear a mask. So I just stop at the dollar store. I get one of those gator wraps. Okay. I get one of those, you know, I don't know what you need on there, but I got through the security line. I got checked in. I get on the plane an hour into the flight. Somebody, you know, they're doing announcements still, and this lady's waving a little package with a mask in it. She's just dangling it over me. And I go, oh, maybe they're just giving me another one. So I didn't know, and apparently 20 minutes later, this lady comes up to me, and she looks like the Jigglypuff meme. Have you ever seen that? The lady throwing the temper tantrum? So she comes, if you can imagine that, she comes up to me and she's pointing a finger at me. She goes, Mr. Borelli, you agreed to the terms and conditions. I'm like, hold on. I go, who are you? Like, she's leaning over somebody's chair and she's pointing. I go, who are you talking to like this? Why are you pointing your finger at? Why are you yelling at me? And she goes, do you want them to turn the plane around? I go, I just want to understand what the hell's going on here. And she goes, and I was like, what do you mean turn the plane around? Why don't you ask everybody else?
If you do not put on your mask, I will turn this plane around right now.
Yeah, they're like Nazis. I mean, literally, that's literally, you could hear, the whole plane could hear this. I mean, she's so aggressive. I have no idea what the hell's going on. She goes, you agreed to wear the approved diaper on your face or whatever they call it. So, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm like, how did I get through screening? How did I even get on the plane? It's an hour into the flight. I'm like, I don't even understand what you're talking about. And she goes, well, you want us to, you're going to be inconvenienced. You're going to be inconveniencing people when we turn the plane. I go, no, you're going to be inconveniencing people. I'm like, I don't want the plane to be turned around. Why don't you survey everybody? And she goes, well, we'll see about that. And she literally stormed off like a Disney character, like just stormed off like a little baby, right? 20 minutes into the flight, I'm just sitting there, and the guy next to me is like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't either. On the speaker, on the cockpit, I hear an announcement. He goes, sorry to bother you, everybody. This is the captain in the cockpit here. We have a passenger who's refusing to comply to the mandates. We're going to divert the plane to Memphis, Tennessee. We're probably going to lose an hour or so. So we apologize. We're going to make it as fast as possible. And then the Jigglypuff comes back up to my seat. And she goes, "That was for you." And I go, "Good. How much are Graceland tickets? Because I never been before. I'd like to check it out." So now everybody's laughing on the plane, and she's getting pissed off. Right? Then the Gestapo shows up an hour. I'm about almost an hour from LA now. The Gestapo shows up, and they're all sitting there like the little rascals. The Jigglypuff's behind the guy.
Who's the Gestapo? Like
it's the whole squad.
Agents?
It's like 6 agents show up. It's the flight attendants.
Flight attendants.
Yeah. So they're all pointing fingers at me. I go, what is with pointing the fingers? I go, I don't understand. I was like, can you tell me the difference between this mask and that mask? And they go, you agreed. I'm like, I understand, but I'm like, I'm just trying to have a conversation. I'm like, is it protocol to just point your fingers at people and start yelling at them? I'm like, we could have a civilized conversation, but like the fact that you're just nasty. I mean, like,
what airline was it?
American Airlines. Stalin Airlines, apparently. If I was wearing a Joseph Stalin mask, maybe it would have been fine. But this was not an anti-mask thing. And just to clear it up, I'm not anti-mask. I'm anti you or anybody telling me how to manage my health. I think that should be my personal decision. Or I should rephrase, force me.
Well, so what ends up happening, right?
So what ended up happening was that they gave me a piece of paper that says if this experience heightens, or if there's something more happens, if I start bucking the system more, then you will be greeted with a person in the airport, and they'll probably fine me or ban me or whatever. But it never said that I was banned. I had the paper, and so sure enough, nothing happened. And I go to check in today to get out here, and sure enough, they go, "Oh, well, you didn't comply." And I go, well, this was already resolved, and I was handed a warning. They're like, no, they said that they sent you an email that you're banned from American Airlines. I'm like, well, I never got that. And I go, and I never not complied. I'm like, I couldn't even have a conversation. I tried for 4 hours to have a conversation with these people. But, well, you're going to have to call customer service. And I'm like, I'm looking at it. That's who I'm talking to. I was at the airport for 2 hours. And she goes, well, you got to call. I go, see, this is the problem. Like, nothing ever adds up. Everything's inconsistent. I finally get the manager. The manager finally comes out. And then she goes, will you comply? And I go, you could have just said this in the beginning. I'm like, of course, I never not wanted to comply. I go, but I grew up in New York. If somebody comes up to you on the street,
did they say the words comply?
Yes, they said you did not comply. They said, and they said that
that's what it's about.
Yeah,
under the boot.